So whenever a situation triggers emotions in me, it's actually a combination of emotions and thoughts that come together. Detangling thoughts and emotions. So I think the first question that I would want to ask our audience is, what did you understand the moment you saw detangling thoughts and emotions? What came to your mind? Understanding yourself more, removing bad thoughts. Not all thoughts are emotions, okay? Sorting emotions, sorting and managing thoughts. Personally, I mix them both. Regulating emotions, wonderful. Healing trauma, excellent. Keeping you cool. So before I start, I have an example with which we will show the activity also. So the situational example that we picked up here is a parent-teacher meeting, and the teacher is telling the parent or the mother especially, just the mother, because the mother attended the PTM. The father was away with a meeting, office meeting. So it's the mother who's attending the parent-teacher meeting. And the teacher kind of complained about the child, that the child is restless, doesn't sit in a place, disturbs the class, and having poor grades continuously, doesn't listen to any instructions, is not changing himself. So I think we need to have a one-on-one, or we can see how we can improve the child. I would like to meet both you and your husband. So this is what the teacher said, so that let's get together and work on your child, so that he becomes more attentive and less restless in the class. Now, if you put yourself in the mother's place, what would your thoughts be and what would your emotions be? Would anyone want to answer this question? Like, if you are in the mother's place, when the teacher is actually talking about your child not doing well academically and behaviorally, and talking only bad about the child, what would you as a mother go through on an emotional level, at a thought level? Who would want to answer this? Feel defeated. Excellent. Bang on. Bullseye. Yes. Shocked, sad, hurt. I would like to know my child aspect also. Excellent. Feel guilty. Anxiety. Okay. I am not doing enough for my child. Should work on how to bring him better. Wow. Okay. I think stay there on these thoughts and emotions. See, why I ask this question is, whenever we go through an overwhelming experience in life, whenever we go through an emotional experience, it doesn't have to be an overwhelming experience, but even a simple emotional experience also, our thoughts and emotions don't come separately. Like, thought doesn't say that I am thought and here I am, I come, and then emotion says, I am emotion and here I am, I'm coming. We all have both thoughts and emotions clubbed in together. They are never separated. They come together. And if you actually see your responses, you can actually see it there. Like, few of you are writing the thoughts, few of you are writing the emotions. So it's a combination of emotions and thoughts, right? So this is exactly what I wanted to indicate before we start the activity. So whenever we are going through an experience or through an emotional experience triggered by a situation or by a person, here it's the teacher who got triggered, the mother got triggered, who's the observer, the child. So whenever a situation triggers emotions in me, it's actually a combination of emotions and thoughts that come together. Let's head start with the activity. Teja and Viveka, over to you. So I'll keep explaining why we are doing the activity, and they'll show you the activity.
Teja is using a cardboard and the pens. She made an outline of a body and mind, and she's started tangling them with the threads or strings.
You can tangle randomly as per Gayatri's instruction.
Why are we tangling?
Yes.
The thread is, the whole purpose is already stated to you. Like, whenever we are going through an experience or whenever a situation or a person triggers us, it's actually the body and mind reacting at the same time. It's never individually. Unfortunately, what happens with us is we focus on the thought more, and we do not really focus on what's happening inside our body, or what are the changes that happen in our body. Like, for example, the same example, parent-teacher meeting, the mother must have felt hurt. So the body actually will react. When it is hurt, you might feel like crying. There is that deep sadness downwards, the deep sadness down in your body. It is tangled. The thought here could be, she's telling me that I'm a bad mother. That's the thought which is triggering the emotion. So that is why we have come up with this activity, to make you understand that each time you actually experience an emotion, it's not just an emotion, it comes along with a thought. Keep this in your framework and then watch the activity that Teja is doing. I'll give the relevance again later.
Yeah. So the other video is showing like if you don't have a cardboard or the pens with you, you can actually take a paper like this, draw the body outline, and start sticking the threads like this in a crisscross manner, just like in my video. You can use the simple threads or the threads available at your home.
And here I've used different colors of threads just to represent that different kind of emotions that we go through. Just a couple of colors. And you can also, apart from using a cardboard and pens, you can also use a NDF board or a wood board and use a nails. This is called a string art. Even you can try using this.
So we are showing different ways in which you can use the thread activity to build the relevance in your mind, that every time we are experiencing an emotion, we are actually clubbing the thought and the emotion. We are tangling the emotion and the thought. We are not consciously doing it, but it happens at a very subconscious level. So the thought and the emotions are all tangled together. In the situation which was depicted to you, the thoughts could be, the mother can feel victimized. She might feel that she's a bad parent, a neglecting parent. Is the teacher suspecting my home environment, that it is not healthy for a child? I'm angry with my spouse for missing the meeting and I have to listen to all of this. I wish he or she was here, whoever is missing. It's so difficult to be a parent. And if you actually remember the messages that you guys have left in the chat box, someone has written, I feel defeated. So we are actually seeing it as success and failure. So one situation made me feel defeated. It's a judgment, right? It's a judgment that I'm making about myself. So tangled. This is tangled with the emotion. Obviously, when I feel defeated, what would be the emotion? I will feel so disappointed. I would feel dejected. I would feel hurt. I would feel upset and probably anxious too. So one thought can actually trigger multiple emotions in your heart, and the experience looks as though it's just beyond your control. So this is how the thought and emotions are actually tangled. And this is how an emotional experience comes across as very, very overwhelming for an individual to handle. We often say things like, it is so overwhelming, it is so beyond control, I feel so helpless. Do we use such phrases? Yes or no in life? It is so overwhelming, it is so difficult, life is so unfair. Why do I have to go through all of this? Yes. So this is how thoughts and emotions are tangled. And most of the time, something that is supposed to end very, very quickly gets extended only because of our thought. Okay? So I'll give you the relevance of detangling, or the relevance of the 90-second rule. We will get into it. But what you really need to understand is you need to come back to this session again and again, listen to my voice and do the activity again and again, because that's when you would be benefited completely in handling your thoughts and emotions right? So it's not a one-time listening, it has to be a multiple listening. So over to the presentation. So coming back to the same example, the thoughts, the mother felt victimized, felt she was a bad parent. At least that's what the teacher was trying to communicate, because according to her, the child is not good or not performing well. She is a neglecting parent. The home environment is not child-centric, so the child is not thriving. angry with her spouse for missing on the meeting and she had to take it alone. Difficult to be a parent, right? The emotions that a parent or that the mother would go through in this situation is hurt, discomfort, embarrassed, shame, misunderstood, guilt, blamed, overwhelming, restlessness. Now here I want to ask a question to our audience. Let's go with the same situation. How many of you would use words like overwhelming, guilty, I feel so guilty, I feel so judged, I feel so restless? How many of you use words like overwhelming, guilty? And how many of you use words like I'm hurt, I feel a little discomfort? The others are for guilt and overwhelm, right? Hurt, very good. I feel hurt. Overwhelming, yes. Okay. Here is a tip. The first way to detangle your thought and emotion, as I already said, for those of you who said engaging is becoming difficult, for those of you get the concept, our thoughts and emotions always come together. They never come separately. So whenever I'm going through an experience or an emotional experience, it's always the emotions and thoughts that come together. That is the basic structure of the session. Now, having said that, I've listed a multiple emotions that a person goes through or that the mother is going through right now. So few of you said I would use words like overwhelming, guilt, etc. Some of you said I would go with hurt. There is a whole lot of difference in the kind of emotional experience that we have based on the words that we use to describe our emotions. If someone says I'm hurt, the intensity of emotional experience is going to be simple for them, which means they still feel emotional, but then the intensity is not going to be so high. But the moment I use words like I feel so guilty, guilt is an extreme emotion. So I have to be very careful when I use the word guilt, right? So for this experience, the appropriate words that you need to use is hurt, discomfort, embarrassed, I feel misunderstood, she could have allowed me to speak, I feel a little restless. The moment I start using words like guilt, blamed, overwhelmed, shame, these are extreme emotions. The experience that the mother is going through right now doesn't call for this. It's becoming very, very personal and I'm using high-end words. So I have to have an emotional vocabulary which simplifies my emotional experience. As in, I need to have vocabulary wherein I can describe my emotions to myself in a very simple manner. Like for example, instead of saying depressed, I say I am sad. Instead of saying I feel dejected, I feel misunderstood. So there is a way in which we need to talk to ourselves and you'll have to keep the words as simple as possible to kind of bring down the overall experience and also to help you detangle between the thought and emotion.